All right, 6 a.m. This is 6 a.m. Central African time once again. It is the 9th of October. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Kusile Breakfast Show. And today, we just want to remind you that our Wednesdays normally focus on health issues, but today will be a bit of both. We will discuss a few health issues, of course, but other issues that are prevailing on the ground that you need to know about, particularly because, you know, some of the things that we normally plan as we develop the country are met with, a few changes. And today, we will update you on an important and significant change of dates on a particular event. But Lulu is going to dive deeper into that. Outside of that, I am going to speak to Vusi Shabangu from the NCD department under the Ministry of Health. Today is the 9th of October, and you ought to remember that the 10th of October speaks to mental health around the world. World Mental Health Day happens annually on the 10th of October, and today we want to speak about, what we are going to be discussing around this important development. You will remember that a striking revelation we've seen along the newspapers over the past couple of months. Now, this is not based on a survey that is out or a report that is out that has looked into the numbers of mental distress in the kingdom of Eswatini, but even if you yourself could conduct an eye study and say you're looking at the archives of, let's say, the past 4 months, you look at all the headlines, you can come to the conclusion that we are at a point where our numbers for mental health are not looking really good. In fact, we could even make a bold claim that we rank amongst the high countries in Africa with the high levels of mental distress. And so we want to have these conversations, and it's critical right now because it also coincides with Mental Health Day, and health practitioners are going to help us dissect how we can maneuver around this, slava, how do we come out of it? But particularly on the topic of this year, the theme this year gears around mental health in the workplace. It prioritizes mental health in the workplace. Now, the workplace has its own bullies. Certain workplaces have been, voiced out as toxic environments because certain supervisors may bully you, and sometimes you can be used as a pawn in between a war of two individuals in an office space. So these are some of the things that may cause mental distress, and we want to unpack them. How do you maneuver around this and you come out as someone who is not affected by all of this distress? We're going to speak to Vusi Shabangu. He's from the Ministry of Health under the NCD department.
Yeah, Kunjalo Mbugeli, stay with us. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Thank you for tuning in. Lomhla team fika nyangeni yemphala sabe sikhulumisana nemxhumanisi welihlangothi olubuke beticisha mlilo Mandla Dlamini tosibikela ukuthi umsebenzi lo kumele ubanjwe kusasa we-National Fire Day wekucala ngca utawubanjwa mhla ka 11 on the 11th of October ngalesihlanu kuleli viki sabe sikhulumisana ke naye ke kuva nje ukuthi bali ihhovisi basebenza kanjani ngitiphethe inkinga labahlange batana nato ubaluleke kangakanani lo msebenzi wangalesihlanu yini kahle kahle letabe yendeke nesiqiniseko sokuthi awuyindzawo manje sibuke nathi lethamba imbili kumaphepha nzabo. Lethamba imbili ku Times of Eswatini lo muhla kungilesithathu. Leading headlines: as health crisis worsens, government hospital suspends dialysis and surgeries. Critical theatre drugs, medical supplies out of stock. Last dialysis conducted at 10 p.m. yesterday. The only option we have at this moment is death. This is according to the Renal Association. Government apologizes. Read more on page 2. Boycott over allowances. The University of Eswatini has been closed. That is the Ekualuseni branch. Kanti kuletinye lethamba imbili, ex-warder in solidarity forces kidnapped by Pudemo. Kuletinye lethamba imbili, illegal bread price hike. 52 shops have been fined, and Competition Commission investigates Swazimed.
Moving on, We look at the sports headlines still on the Times of Eswatini. The big story there speaks to Sihlangu tight schedule that might lead to league fixtures dilemma for the Premier League of Eswatini. Extended break looms as the Chen qualifiers start this month. We also have there the dates are for some of the games. October 11, Mozambique is going to play Sihlangu Semnigati on at 3 p.m. rather. We also have another game on the 14th of October, another one on the 11th of November, and our last one on the 15th of November. Should we make the qualifiers, we will play on the 25th of October and on the 1st of November. Another story, Junior Miaba, Yellow League September's best. Hard work pays off is premised on that particular story. Deadlock in Wanderers saga. EFA and the Premier League of Eswatini seem to have reached a dead end in their bid to solve the issue of Manzini Wanderers. On the international front, ex-Barcelona star Iniesta retires at 40.
All right, so moving on to the Eswatini Observer, Guletihamba Imbili Mhlekazi returns from UAE. Kanti Guletinye new health crisis, government hospital suspends surgeries, patients turned back as hospital runs out of anesthetic medical drugs. Ministry says only emergency cases being prioritized. And in other news, government says Eswatini is not a spaza phone. Kanti Guletinye Tamba Imbili, a 19-year-old helper was found dead and her throat slit.
Moving over to the sports headlines of the Eswatini Observer, your dedicated sports field. Big story, curling knockout throw, thrilling match-ups. Swallows plead for understanding. Give him space. This one speaks to the life-threatening car accident that involved one of Mbabane Swallows players in Xolisi, Given Lukele, resulting in one passenger losing a life on the spot and others critical. The team has sent a passionate plea to the fans and all those that are concerned to trust the process and allow doctors to do their work. Another story, Lindo retains Sihlangu armband. The trusted like the rock of Gibraltar, Sihlangu head coach Zdravko Lugarsic's actions are anything to go by. Zesco United left back Lindo Mkonda will indeed continue to be the squad's anchorman as he retained the armband. Junior Sibonelo September's best players. These are Malandi Chiefs players Sibonelo Mamba and Real Leopards Junior Makakula as they react after they were named September Players of the Month at Lobamba Technical Center.
Asgana sibuka Eswatini Daily News leti hamba imbili Prime Minister to dialogue on regional and continental value chains. Prime Minister will join industry leaders, policymakers and innovators who will gather over 3 days in Kigali to advance African trade and economic growth under the African Continental Free Trade Area. And in other news, University of Eswatini closes its door. SMVAF introduces a e-claim digital service for accident victims.
3 stories making the sports headlines on the Eswatini Daily News, 2 locally and 1 from the international front. Perhaps if we can start by looking at the one from the international front. Iniesta retires from football at 40 years old, a decorated career as he played most of his great games at Barcelona alongside Lionel Messi, Xavi and David Villa. Sihlangu coach, we want to make the nation proud. That is his promise to the nation as he takes on the biggest responsibility of coaching a team that has disappointed the nation for far too long. Hopefully, we come out of the doldrums. We move on to the last story. The EFA throws Wanderers under the bus. Football mother body, the Eswatini Football Association, decides not to deliberate on the Wanderers issue pending the Supreme Court appeal, which could be heard in January 2025.
Right, it's 10 minutes after 6. Ngitole betamba imbili kumaphepha ndzaba South Aselkhefu sitabene tindzaba.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Ujala masoda mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
Sibile sive sikhulume.
Ngosilenhle sicala ngekubuka nathi indzaba tesiswati umhlonishwa Mvunankhulu usuke kuleli esukwini la itolo ekuseni walibhekisa eveni le Rwanda kuyawumelela silo semhlaba inkosi Mswati wesithathu emhlanganweni ke wesibili we-Africa Free Continental Trade Area Agreement. Sike Mvunankhulu usukele esikhumulweni setindiza iKing Mswati the Third International Airport.
Sibika luhambo lesithathako loluya eveni lase Rwanda lapho khona kunemhlangano baholi bemave nebaholi bahulumende bayokhulumisa indzaba tekutsengiselana e-Africa yonke jikelele lokusho ukuthi African Common Free Trade Area umhlangano ongalokho sineke siyamela ingonyama khona njengomholi welive sihamba nje malanga lamabili kuphela sibe sesibuye ekhaya.
Kulomhlangano kutawubukwa indlela tekucinisa tekutsengiselana emkhatsini kwemava ase-Afrika kanye nekusombulula tinsayele tenta kutsi emava ase-Afrika angakhoni kutsengiselana odvwana melula. Kutsengiselana kwemava ase-Afrika solo kuhamba kancane njengoba kume ku-15% lide imakethe yase-Afrika inebantfu laba-1.3 billion. Umkhicito lokhona e-Afrika ulinganiselwa ku-3.4 trillion. Umbiko uhlanganiswe ngiLinkedIn kule ngisesikhumulweni setindiza esikhuphe.
Litiko letinkhundla kanye nelitiko lemadolobha lihlanganise emalunga ePhalamende labuke kusebenta kwalamatiko lamabili lapho athulelwa khona umtsetfo wekuthi kusebente ingcenye yesicephu semtsetfo-sisekelo welive lochaza-ke kabanti ukuthi lusito lufinyelele eziveni. Mabhalane lomkhulu welitiko letinkhundla Nonhlanhla Dlamini uthi kucala kusebenta kwale ngcenye yemtsetfo-sisekelo kutawukwenta-ke ukuthi bantfu balutfole lusito njengekubeka kwemaswati esibayeni. Dlamini bekakhuluma ehhotela le-The George lapho kuchubeka khona lo mhlangano wemalanga lamabili.
Ngemuva kokuthi sive sivete imibono mayelana nekungafiki kwelusito emakhaya esibayeni, uhulumende wakhetha skejana lesitawukhona ukuthi-ke sibuke ukuthi isicephu 23 semtsetfosisekelo singacala njani kusebenta. Lamatiko-ke lamabili etfulele emalunga ePhalamende labuke kusebenta kwalamatiko lamabili lomtsetfo losakhankanywa. Mabhalane lomkhulu etiko letinkhundla nekutfutfukiswa kwato Nonhlanhla Dlamini uthi lo mtsetfo utawusita ukuthi bantfu bakhone kutitfutfukisa emimangweni yabo.
Uhulumende ngekubona sidingeko sekuthi asale enda chapter 13 we-constitution ukuthi asale asebenteka ukhethe skejana sematiko lamane ukuthi asebente lo mthetho umthetho lesisi we-local government. Lo mthetho-ke namuhla so-draft stage lamatiko lamane-ke sekacale lo msebenzi wekuconsulta nalabaphathekako kulo mthetho. Namuhla-ke sihlangana nema-portfolio committees yaka-housing neyaka-tinkhundla ukuthi sibatfulele le draft bill sicele imivo yabo bekunene basicolele umthetho sichubeke siye embili. Ngingachaza nje ukuthi silibonile libandla la ka-EBC labasidwebela imincele labayingcenye lenkulu kakhulu nayo ekwakhiweni kwalomthetho. Salibona nelibandla la ka-PBC labasibukele timali nema-budgets kahulumende lesiva ngathi nabo siyadinga ukuthi basibambise kakhulu kulomthetho. So namuhla it's just consultation and it is going to be a series of consultations ngoba baningi who are lined up ukuthi sithole imivo yabo before singathi siyawufinalize lo mthetho lesiwubona kahle kakhulu ukuthi mukhulu kakhulu futhi uma ungaphumelela utaliletha lishintsho lelihle FM.
Lo mhlangano ubheke ukuthi-ke wephethe ngalesithathu. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni, Nathamba Shabangu, Kamanzini.
Live Eswatini selicale umsebenzi wekucecesha labasebenza emagumbini etekucwaninga labatiwa ngekwekwuthi ngema-laboratory technicians basuka-ke emaveni lasesifundzeni saka-SADC bacwaningwa ngetindlela tekucwaninga linani lebutsi lobuphuma etibini letishiswako lokugcina-ke kuphetsela emtimbeni wemuntfu. Lomhlangano sikolwa wekucecesha letisebenti ubanjelwe enyuvesi yakuleli ekwaluseni eluphikweni lwetesayensi kanti-ke kuchutshwa inhlangano lebukete emvelo kuleli Eswatini Environment Authority.
Lo mhlangano sikolwa uyingxenye yemisebenzi yetemvelo lesekelwa inhlangano yakamhlaba lebukete kuthuthukiswa kwemisebenzi lemikhulu iUNIDO kanti uhlose ukuthi uhlomise lamave ngelwati lokucwaninga umonakalo lobangwatibi letishiswako emvelweni nakubantu kuti atokhona kucala tinhlelo tekunciphisa. Ndumiso Makagula welibandla lelibukete emvelo kuleli uchaza kabanti ngebungoti balobutsi lobukhishwa tibi letishiswako.
Lubalo nje lwa 2017 luthi 83% wema households lakhona even tibi takhona tiyasha tingashela emgodzini wetibi tingashela eminene. Ema-UPOPs achamuka futhi lokhunye achamuka la khona nasi base emabhayela ema-incinerator konke lapho lachamuka khona. So lokhu khathata kakhulu mhlabuhlangene ngiloko ukuthi lolu hlobo lolubutsi luthi nalungena la emtimbeni lwakhele lugcine lifike kuma levels la gcine a very toxic to loyo muntu kugcine kubangeke nabo cancer. Siyadibona ke letinombolo tabo cancer ticishe tenyukile eveni na kulamanye amafu lokunciphisa lokushiswa kwaletibi kusithemba lokuthi kutawunciphisa nalamathuba ukuthi sive sigcine siphethwe ngabo labo cancer.
Emave langenelelo mhlangano sikolwa kwamanje ngolelo leSwatini leBotswana neleTanzania kanti leminye yemisebenzi lesekelwa ngemali yale nhlangano yakamhlaba ifaka ikhathi lo wekwakhiwa kwetindzawo tekucoca kahle tibe etindzaweni letisedvute nalapho kuhlala khona abantu kute batokhona kuti isebentisa kanyenti bakhe tintfo letinsha bathengise sekunekuthi batishise. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV ngumbongwa Dube nasimova Shongwe kumathapha.
Mapalane wePhalamende Benedict Xaba watisa sive kanye nato tonke tinhlangothi letinenshisekelo ekufaka imivo emthethweni ngelo sakhankanywa i-International Fund for Agriculture, Smallholder Productivity Enhancement and Marketing Project Loan Bill, Bill number 8 of 2024. Ekuthenini-ke babhalise kumabhalane welikomiti letimphunga lelisebenta lendzaba lekungu-Treasure Shabangu. Nombolo yakhe yithi 76158588 noma ke batfumele liposi lembane ku-treasureshabangu@gmail.com. Inhloso yalomthetho kuniketa emandla indvuna yetemafa ekuthenini iye kuyawuboleka imali lengendluli ku$13,570,000 US dollars. Imali ke letawubolekwa esikhwameni International Fund for Agriculture Development kuteke kutawusekeleka imisebenzi yebalimi labancane. Lilanga lekugcina lekubhalisa ngomhlati 14 kulesetulo. Anzingakulokunye mapalane wePhalamende Benedict Xaba watisa sive kanye nato tonke tinhlangothi letinenshisekelo yekufaka-ke imivo emthethweni losakhankanywa i-OPEC Fund for International Development mkhonvo ngwavuma Water Augmentation Program Phase 1 Bill, Bill number 9 of 2024. Ekuthenini-ke babhalise nanabo kumabhalane welikomiti letimphunga lelisebenta lendzaba lekungu-Treasure Shabangu. Inombolo solo ngu-76158588 0588 noma bathumele liposi lembane ku-treasureshabangu@gmail.com. Inhloso yalomthetho ukuniketa emandla indvuna yetemafa ekuthenini iye kuyawuboleka imali lengendluli ku-20 million US dollars esikhwameni i-OPEC Fund for Development kute-ke kutawusekelwa umsebenti wemanti umkhonvo ngwavuma water project. Ilanga lekugcina lekubhalisa ngomhla ti-14 kule nyanga lesetulu. Qhubeka nato tindzaba njengoba kusete umtsetfo lolawula emabhizinisi latsenga aphindze atsengise titandi kanye netindlu emaswati alahlekelwe imali lengetulu kwa 600,000 emalangeni. Loku kwenteke nje tinyangeni letisiphohlongo letengcile kulomnyaka. Kantsi-ke atsenga noma arenta tindlu netitandi letinkhundleni tekuchumana. Sihlalo wenhlangano yekutsengiswa kwetitandi netindlu Eswatini Realtors Association Musanhleko sewunikete teluleko tekwekutsi sive singakuvikela kanjani kulahlekelwa imali yaso ngalolu hlobo lolu. Kantsi-ke kulesikhathi uhulumende asalungisa umtsetfo i-Real Estate Agents Bill. Kunembiko.
Lobuke bucala lobendeka ngetebuciko emaphoyiseni Superintendent Nicholas Jele uthi imali leseyilahlekele eMaswati lebekadze athi atsenga titandi noma yabhadala i-rent kuletinyanga letisiphohlongo kulomnyaka etinkhundleni tekuchumana ngu-695,340 emalangeni. Sihlalo wenhlangano lebuke kutsengwa kwetitandi netindlu kuleli Musanhleko uthi umtsetfo losakhankhanywa i-Real Estate Agents Bill utawuba lusito kakhulu uvikele ukuthi sive silahlekelwe imali uma sewuphasile.
Once uyangena lo mthetho loyo utawusita tintfo letiningi lobo khanza ukuthi eMaswati akakhoni kutisebenta kahle because ukhanza ukuthi mawufuna iproperty uvela ubone nje ephepheni advert ushaya icingo ukhanza ukuthi lelo cingo lolushayako lo muntu akasi i-agent. So ukhanza ukuthi-ke sekukhulunywa ngetimali setiyalahleka.
Uphindze waniketa teluleko kulabo labathenga titandi kanye netindlu.
Kungaba ngiko lokuthi uhlole yona le association lebitwa ukuthi Eswatini Realtors Association kuhlola emalunga ayo ukuthi lo muntu lothi ufuna ukuthengisela umhlaba noma lo uthengisako uthi ungilo inilunga sitobe sesiyakhona ukubambisa khona ukuthi hayi siyamati vele echubeka naye ngoba na uthenga umhlaba awufani nokuthenga sinkwa ukuthi ubhadala cash yonke le mali ayiki lo muntu othengisako noma le agent imali kufuna iye conveyance kulesinye isikhathi ke ukhanza ukuthi lo conveyance lo mmeli naye nguye lo ngasiko lo kahle loyo ke siye sithi kuze uthole kahle ukuthi lo mmeli otamsebenzisa kushintshelele property yena ume kanjani siye sithi kungcono ukuthi uthole i-law society uyihlole ukuthi ingabe lo mmeli lona lengifuna kumsebenzisa ukahle nemabhukwini e-law society.
Mabhalane lomkhulu etiko letetindlu nekutfutfukiswa kwemadolobha lesikhulumisane naye ngelucingo Dr. Simon Zwane uthi bebasafaka imivo yetinhlangothi letitsindzekako kumtsetfo losakhankhanywa i-Real Estate Agents Bill. Uthi lo mtsetfo losakhankhanywa utawusewumikiswa ebandleni letindvuna tembuso bese uya ephalamende. Uchazile ukuthi bayisebenta ngekuphuthuma indzaba yekutsengwa nekutsengiswa kwetindlu netitandi kucedza kuganga losekukhona kulolu hlangothi. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Wenhlangamandla kunavuma inkosi indzimisa ezulwini.
Bosomabhizinisi bakuleli labasetinhlangothini letahlukene batawuba nelitfuba lekuceceshwa ngetinhlelo tekutsengisa imikhicito yabo taba-ke eveni le-Taiwan kantsi batawusebentisa tindlelo tebuciko. Ngekusho kwaSihle Nkhabinde lobukete kumaketha ebandleni lelikhanga bosomabhizinisi Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority. Lolu hlelo luyingxenye-ke yalolo lwekubhaliswa kwemikhicito yakuleli lokwasukunyiswa ngesikhathi kuhlasele kakhulu umkhuhlane i-COVID-19. Kantsi-ke luhlose kukhulisa linani lemkhicito wakuleli lothengiselwa live le-Taiwan. Nkabinde bekakhuluma ngesikhathi lelibandla lelikhanga bosomabhizinisi lihlanganise bosomabhizinisi labangetulu kwama-30 kuyawubuka-ke tindlela tekutfutfukisa kutsengiswa kwemikhicito yakuleli. Mhlangano ubanjelwe ehhotela le-Hilton eMbabane.
Masikhumbula itolo kusene-COVID sasumisa lihlelo lapha eSwatini Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority but bekuyi-platform lokhanza khona ukuthi i-listing ayikhoni mhlawumbe ukuthi ibe nendlela yokuthi kubhadarwane nokuthi transport lawo magoods from kulolo thengisako kuya lolo wathengile. I-interest ikhona bosomabhizinisi labancane, business support organization, nawo business institutions nanawo atshengisile ukuthi anawo intshisekelo yokuyibona ukuthi ngabe itawusebenza kanjani futhi ayafuna dlala lichaza ekuthenini nawo aphosele itshezivivaneni ekuthenini kukhona ukuthi le project yalo by Eswatini 2.0 ikhona ukuthi isebende.
Umcondzisi wetemabhizinisi lamancane nalasemkhathini etiko letemabhizinisi Meluleki Dlamini uthi lolu hlelo lutalisita kakhulu live njengoba litokhulisa liphinzele entete kuthengiselana nele Taiwan kube melula.
Akusho njenyalo sicalile sisebenta nale nkampani lesuka eTaiwan itawube icedzile kule platform nakuphela November sitawubona ke lapho sebatawucala ke kuphinze futhi kube sekuphindze kuma naleminye imihlangano letawubuka lokuthi sebente kanganani kule platform. Lokhu kuba preparation ukuthi in future nasingahlangana naletinye tingcinamba ukuthi abasakhoni kuhamba bangakhona sema products abachubeka athengiseke.
Kusho kweluhla lwetintfo letingaphansi kwesivumelwano sekuthengiselana nele Taiwan ingemakhulu amabili imikhicito yakuleli lengathengiswa kulelave lefaka ekhathi nemikhicito yemisebenzi yetandla. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Mbongwa Dube eMbabane.
Mapalane wePhalamende Benedict Xaba watisa sive kanye nato tonke tinhlangothi letinenshisekelo ekufaka emivo emthethweni ke losakhankanywa i-Anti-Money Laundering, Counter-Financing of Terrorism as well as Proliferation Financing Amendment Bill number 9 of 2024. Kutsanini batsinzane namapalane welibandla letimphunga elisebenta ke lomthetho Treasure Shabangu nombolo 76158588 noma bathumele lipost lembane ku treasureshabangu@gmail.com. Inhloso ke ichibela lomthetho ukucinisa imithetho lekhona lelwa ke nekushushumbiswa kwetimali kanye nekwesekelwa kwetiphekula sikhuni. Lemithetho ke lechibelwako nguloyo wekulwa nekushushumbiswa kwemali i-Money Laundering Act wa 2011, Criminal Matters Act, the Exchange Control Order 1974, kanye ke nemtsetfo lolwa nebucala lobuhlelekile wa 2018. Lilanga lekugcina lekubhalisa ngomhla ti-14 kulesetulu. Kanti-ke ngakule kunye mapalane wePhalamende Benedict Xaba phindze watisa sive kanye nato tonke tinhlangothi letinenshisekelo leyo-ke yekufaka emivo emthethweni losakhankanywa wetinkampane i-Companies Bill number 5 of 2024 kuthi batsinzane namapalane welikomiti lendlu yabayesikhulu lelisebenta lomthetho kunguNhlanhla Shabangu enombolweni lethi 76172820 noma bathumele lipost lembane ku noshabangu@yahoo.com. Inhloso lenkhulu yalomthetho kucinisa indlela yokubhalisa tinkampane kanye nekufakwa kwetinkampane kutebuchwephesha pheceleti online kulokunye. Lomunye ke kanti-ke kulokunye lomthetho ngumthetho we-Nuclear and Radiation and Safety Bill ngumthetho lohlose ukuthi kusebenziswe kahle i-bill nuclear eveni kanye nekwenta ke ukuthi isebente imigomo nemazinga kamhlaba lelusuke inhlangano i-International Atomic Energy. Ilanga lekugcina lekubhalisa ngomhla ti-14 kulenyanga lesetulu. Sekusukunyiswe inhlangano lehlose kufaka sandla ekuthuthukeni kwelive leSwatini kanye ke nekuhlangabeta labo labanetidzingo letihlukene empilweni. Lenhlangano ibitwa ngekuthi Liyakhanya Charity Organization isukunyiselwe ke emtapeni welwati eMbabane kanti ke itawusebenta kuto tonke tifundza takuleli lapho kudzingeka khona lusito.
Umbono ke waliyakhanya Charity Organization uvela ngekuthi sivelane nekuhlupheka kwebantu noma ke ukuthi bantu bangakhona ukufeza tidzingo tawo. Sifisile ukuthi besingabakhela nebantu tindlu letiphephile labo labede. Sifisile nekupha abantu labadzinge kudla sibaphe kudla. Sifisile ke nekwakhala ikhaya lalabo labede batali labo noma ke singasho ukuthi labo labede indzawo labangayibita ngekuthi kusekhaya. Sifisile ke nekuthi siphindze sikhona ukuthi siphe labo labadzinge i-medication phecelezi noma ke emaphilisi ngoba siphe amaphilisi labo labadzingile nokuthi ke sibasonzetele imitholampilo etindzaweni letsemaphandleni lapho kude khona.
Inhlangano lekhutsata kugcinwa kwemvelo leyasungulwa tisebenti telibhanga yiNedbank ithi itosekela lenhlangano liyakhanya charity organization etinhlangothini tsite kulomnyaka losetulu. Malwande Manzini lobekamelele lenhlangano yelibhange ubeke kanjena.
We've given Leakanya a mandate to carry out a particular task, the launch being one of them. There's a fundraising. I think the director is going to talk about that before we leave this place, as well as to equip Leakanya in terms of how to run a proper charity organization. Siba equip in the long run and how to survive. That's what we are here to do as Nedbank, as Green Footprints Charity Organization.
Lebe bamelele labake bahomula kulolu sito lwalenhlangano liyakhanya charity organization lekuyimalinza soup kitchen kanye nelibandla le-Church of Christ eMotshane nabo babonge bagangatsa kulenhlangano. Umcondzisi walenhlangano Thabiso Bhembe ugcizelele ukuthi kuphumelela kwalenhlangano emsebentini wayo kusetandleni temaswati kanye nemabhizinisi kuthi baphose litshe esivivaneni kutositakala emaswati lamanyenti. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV ngumbongo Dube eMbabane.
Temidlalo Junior Makakula welicembu le-Royal Leopard senguyekelo uthole umhlomelo we-Best Player of the Month of September ngaphansi kwe-MTN Premier League yeminyaka wa-2024-2025. Makakula uhambe ekhaya nemali lengu-6,000 emalangeni kulembiko.
Kusadlala imidlalo lemine endzebeni ye-MTN Premier League yalonyaka kungumanje. Inhlangano ledlalisa indzebe ye-MTN Premier League nalabo labasekela lemidlalo babambe imicimbi yokuhlomelisa abadlali labahambe embili esigabeni noma-ke enyangeni lephelile esigabeni saka-Premier League kanye-ke naka-First Division. Junior Makakula welicembu le-Royal Leopard nguye lothole umhlomelo we-Best Player of the Month wanyanga yanga-August kulandzela indzima lebonakele ayidlala ekusiteni licembu lakhe ukuthi licale kahle isizini. Kanzi-ke uhambe ekhaya nemali lengu-6,000 emalangeni. Esigabeni saka-National First Division Msimisi Mayaba lodlalela licembu le-Malandi Chiefs yena uhambe ekhaya nemali lengu-2,000 emalangeni. Labadlali lababili nyalo-ke batawuchubeka bagcuzelane lapho khona bataba ingcenye yebadlali labadlale kahle kule sizini lesetulu ye-2024-2025. Etindzabeni temidlalo ngingugiyani Msibi kanombiko ohlanganiswa nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Tingawo ke Siswati sitawubuka simo selitulu salomuhla sibahlolo emarket sitawubuya sichubene lihlelo masinyane.
Phela ama-culprits lentisa labantwana letika ngoba umntwana lona 11 lona 12 lona 13 lona 40 lokulala nje usangakakucabanga.
Nangabe kunenombolo which are so horrifying and spine chilling over a very, very short space of time, labantwana bavikelekile yini?
Indzaba ithi bantwana solo bayakhulelwa. Then the thing is what must be done now. Ngeke sihlale mengameli sigoce etandla sithi ngoba umntwana akakafanele kulala. sidabe siyadmislead mengameli nasiyibuka from that approach.
Ubhlungu mangabe siyiphalamende sitawuthi bampa bethu 11-12 sithakahamba ye clinic siyomfaka implant sesimnika imvume kokuthi akalale noma singaphucuka kwani Madam President simaswati
kasho isikole esincane lesa kusingaba nenombolo engaka abantwana lokusa mhlambe ba pregnant abekho esikoleni kuyathusa kakhulu nasekuthiwa inombolo engaka ephuma esikoleni sisinye.
Lana sikhulumisa i-national policy umthetho waleli velo. I didn't take it from the back of my head.
Ukukhulwini lesitalithoda ngoba abantwana bawugcina bahlaba ngalomjovo bagcine bangasatali.
Umsebenzi wethu singemaswati is to protect the family and to protect the dignity of human lives.
I've got so many of these kids. Labamithiswe bobabe labadzala babafakela ne-infection yale HIV. Akuboshwe bona.
Asimze sinamukele sikuvusela nawo losanza kuzivulela it's 25 minutes before 7 o'clock besivetile ukuthi sidabe sikhulumisana nemchumanisi welihlangothi lolubuke cishamlilo Mandla Dlamini long public relations officer utokhuluma ngendzaba lebalekile dokumela ukuthi leli office lamayimetela ukuthi kutawubanjwa umsebenzi oqala nqa we-National Fire Day lotawubanjwa kusasa mhla ka-10 kepha ke sekuphuma umbiko lomgqoko ukuthi so postpone to Friday the 11th of October khona lapha eMathapha airport. Nkosi sikuvusela sekumukele kusivetela nje sithombe ukuthi ngabe vele amalungiselelo ahamba kanjani nekusho ukuthi vele lo msebenzi so postpone to Friday.
Sibonge Thombeni, sibonge lithuba lekuvela emsakadweni wetithombe. Sithi nje sibonge Makhosi Live ukuthi asibusele lo msebenzi asikhombelanga ukuthi umsebenzi sale uba ngalesihlanu bekude lokushintshe longakanani ukuthi bekulungiselwe lesine ukuthi ube khona bafike basibusela ukuthi ube ngalesihlanu sivete nje ukuthi lokumcoka lokufuna sikuvete ukuthi bonke labathwala emakhadi abangawalahli baqhubeke bete nawo ngoba tajinga sebende ngalelanga leli phindze futhi sivete nalaba labakhanza ukuthi banesifiso ukuthi babe mtsibi munye nathi ukuthi sitawucela ukuthi bajinge bede ngetinombolo tabo leti setulu konke amagumba amane elivela kithi bede batosisingatha nathi singumnyango licishamlilo kulelanga leli bese sicela nala befamily ye transport laba hambisa sive ukuthi kulapha e-international airport kuMathapha kufika khona cishe ngathi kunesibanganyana lelikhudlwanyana ukuthi ungahamba ngenyawo sicela ukuthi babambise sive bakhona ukubalayisha abantu bababeke edutane kuze batokhona ukuthi bafike ngesikhathi bese kube kuso sona sive ke sicizelele ukuthi nasofika lapha ngekhathi ezama kufika ngesikhathi kokucala kwesibili kuhamba embili inhlonipho njalo satiwa thina emaswati ukuthi kuhlonipha ke isihlala sinako ungakhansela usowenda lokhu bheke eceleni uyahlonipha ufika uhlala phasi umela ukuthi utshelwe ngilabaluleka umcimbi ukuthi ungacala ukusetshenzwe kuyo embili kungaba ngiloko nje Thombeni nawe embukele ekhaya ukuthi sitoncusa sonke sive isuku lethu lekucala leli kuningi lesizame ukuthi basibambise abantu amaphoyisa masotsha emawada ma stakeholders ethu onke siyabonga nje kakhulu ukuthi basinikile lithuba ukuthi basikhulumise basibambise basincwathise ngalolusuku lolu.
Yeah, itolo balingani bami baxoxisene nani babe eDlamini ngawo amalungiselelo ahamba kanjani vele wona ngibona bonile tithombe ukuthi vele no sekuhle konke sekume ngemumo ahamba kanjani amalungiselelo.
Ngiyaqala kuba ku event leso lemnanzi kangaka isikhathini sibe ngibuka ngiya kulamanye ama sister organization ethu but lokula kusilokhu sekuthwele ngithi kube nemehluko emafama nethu avetile ukuthi nemaphoyisa kulayelwa ukuthi lento yenziwa kanjani kube emcoka kakhulu endiye emalungiselelo asedulu sithembisa nje lotawube akhona ukuthi angaya atafika tibonele
lokuthi umsebenzi sosetulu kangakanani konke ecangise kulungisiwe nalokuningi lokhanzi besithi sola kiko cha secishe ngathi kucondzisiwe nyalo ethombeni.
Ingabe nje kini nilihlangothi la lele beticishamlilo ubale kangakanani nje kini nomsebenzi lona wekucala ngca kubanjwa eveni kutabe ku showcase lapha mhlambe likhona eleni umsebenzi leni wendako ngoba sathi ukuthi nisebenza ngalokhulu kutikhandle kakhulu njenyalo nje lokusibeka kwinter maningi ama cases lozobonile bese nicisha lapha ama grass fires ama forest fires ingabe nje lokuba khona lokwendeka nje kwalolusuku kumcwa kangakanani nje kini?
Kumcoka kakhulu Thomeni kokucala nje ukuthi nathi siqiniswe ngiso sive ngoba kuyelo lapha ukuthi siyobukela kuphela sesiyawuhlala thutane naso sive sikhona ukukhulumisana nema stakeholders ethu but asincwathisa la qinisani nalokuthi ke sikhona nekufundisa sive ukuthi nasisebenza suke sendana so utafike kumcoka kakhulu lokuthi umuntu afika kubone thutane masitshengisa nje ukuthi nasiya etingotini sihamba kanje sende njani netiningi so kumcoka kakhulu ukuthi sibe kulomsebenzi lo and ke nalobudlelwane esitabakha kakhulu nani nemedia sethemba lokuthi kutaba kuhle kakhulu esithuswe ke ama officers ethu bekucala ukuthi a practice lokho but siyabona nyalo hayi ungathi kade bakucala so ke ukulungiselela kusetulu kakhulu ethombeni nawe mbukele ekhaya
ingabe indlela esingayigatsa siyade ukuthi vele thina singemaswati sadiwa kakhulu ngeculture kutaba khona labagitsako I suppose kusivedela nje sithombe ukuthi kutabe kwendeka yini lesingayigatsa ama activities of the day.
Lokumcoka mina ngafundzwa ngumakwami ekhaya nangikhulisa ukuze umuntu omthusa namajabule emfihlele ngiyacela mina ukuthi siva sifike sitatubonela sona kodwa kukhona konke abaphelele nje abantu bayete ngebuningi babo kubo batahamba indzawo lenhle kakhulu mathapha kulomsebenzi lo batafike baphume bajabule kakhulu emsakati nawe mbukele nje kumema lobukelako yita utobona ticishamlilo sitabene sitivakashite tethu bemaveni konke kutabe kuphelele andisibonge emakhosi sikhuthala bayethe ukuthi awu lelanga leli sisabe sibusisekile emsakati
sinibonile ngikhosi ivele kakhulu kade nje kulomnyaka losetulu bo June July August bampu bewashisa kakhulu emahlathi bawamanengi lama cases nehla nenyuka live lonke ingabe vele kusivetela nje vele lama cases ukuthi nisebenza kanganani nicishe indzawo letinganani nekukuthi lithola ukuthi vele lemililo lena isuswa bobani isuswa yini
noma ngingakake tike ukuthi sisihlanganise kahle hle ngoba sisahlanganisa ukukhumbule ukuthi sisebenza nema stakeholders lafa yabo MDMA kufuna leti nkulumo tethu tikhulume ndoyinye lecishe ibambisa sive ngesithombe kodwa ke ama grass fires vela bemaningi kakhulu eveni and kwaba buhlungu ukuthi esikhatsini sebusika balonyaka bemningi lo moya kwakhanisa usibeline kakhulu hlobo lelendlulile kwabukhula kakhulu utshani so lishile kakhulu sakhanza ke ukuthi nesimo semlilo asikubangwa ukuthi inkosi yami kuthuke kwashaya umbani noma kwendekani but udakhanza ukuthi budlapha nje besive lesinye isikhathi labanye abantu babasengawuqonzi umlilo ukuthi ingoti kangakanani uyasuka nje umuntu lohusha athi ufuna kushisa tibi noma lo mnyaka abuke etshani ukuthi cha ngabususa ngemlilo namhla kanzi sekutabe sekudaleka ingoti so yahamba umlilo ushisa emakhaya abantu ashile nemakhaya stativeta tinombolo sitawubuya thombeni nawe mbukele ekhaya ukuthi evele umlilo utshengise kulimata live kule season ye2024 yebusika usilimete kakhulu and usenda lokho ukuthi kulomcimbi lo sikube ngilokunye lesizama ukuthi sikhulume ngako sitafisi sifundzise sizame lokuthi sikhulume nesive singagcini kuwo ke lo mcimbi sitaphinze eminyakeni lodako noma nase sicala wona sizame lokuthi sihambele kuma communities ethu sibe visible on the ground ukuthi sikhulumise sive ukuthi umlilo asisudlala ngawo le live libalibi kakhulu liyalimala lesikhathi imililo iba kanje na ungabuka nje embukele ekhaya donke tikhosa timnyama and ke tjana bukhulu ngendlela lebuba ngiyona sebushanga sonke isikhathi ebusika kuyabida usuhle buyekelwa bukhule uze ushise ngokuthi sowucela efire atokuphekeletela akulekelele emlilweni
inama domestic fires nawo yemvuleni lenhle nibhekana nayo mhlambe nelihovisi singakhuluma nje ukuthi around June July kwaba nembiko ukuthi kwashona liswane endlini na last year kwashona a 60-year-old man tiningi nje letigameko letibikwako yini ngabe nato leto tivame kanganani nje lama domestic fires
indzaba yekusha kwemakhaya ibhlungu kakhulu kukhona la ukhanza ukuthi khona sifike sitfolele timo letiveta bhlungu ukuthi bese kulahleka umphefumulo Imbangela ke lokhansi kuye kwendeke lana ukhansi kushiyakala letindlu bese cala umlilo. Khohlakala emakhandlela nabalele bantu. Khohlakala letibani letembatha bo paraffin. Nabahambile emisebenzini kukhohlakala bebapheka ngako stove. Kukhohlakala bo iron njenganyalo nje ekseni batali bajake esikolweni. Ayinela umfana uyakhohlwa ukuthi kushiya iron. So tishile vele tindlu nemiphefumulo emininganyana lilimele kulonyaka ngesimo sekusha ukuthi kufaka ekhathi lo khuluma ngayo ethombeni kufaka ekhathi abantu labadzala labashele ekhathi emakhaya endlini diningi letigaba but ngidawubuya sitokwathi kuveta lesithombe ukuthi kulokungakanani kodwa namhla bengisenje ndawuthinza le fire day ngihlale kiyo ngoba imcoka kakhulu lokumcoka ke lokunye etingotini lokungathi khamba embili loku sicela ukuthi sive singinaka timotolo tiyagicika kakhulu timotolo tshengisa ukuthi tiyawuthatha imphefumulo ikakhulu na indzaba yamalagwana it's a concerning issue lesizazama kubuka sithi cishamlilo nemaphoyisa nabo bonke lesibambisana nabo ukuthi singasebenza kanjani ukuze emalagwana akhulume na driver akhulume nalendzaba nakehlakiyo ukuthi kube bede ingoti lengathatha umphefumulo Mthombeni.
Ngana ukuthi vele tonke timvo letiningi siyatibona tiyendeka ka social media nani nansa sebenda bayanthwebula lokwana lokuyendeka kepha nje ngifuna singene nje kakhulu kade nje ekusebenzeni kwenu enkosi imishina yekusebenta ngoba ngoningi labakhuluma ko bamva I think nabo nje nale clarity ngaba kuhle ukuthi bayithule lokuthi vele le mishina yekusebenta ikhona invele ngoba kuba netinkhulumo ukuthi imishina yenu yalma kufunctiona at some point nansacisha ibhuna umbona ngabe vele yona le mishina yekusebenta ikhona invele niyakhona kusebenta kahle.
Siyabonga Mthombeni. Ngemishina ngeke sekube ungafika ngeke uzofika esigabeni sokuthi hayi seyikhona yonke. Siye uyobona ukuthi situation ngayinye iyakufundisa ukuthi kushoda nako. Sihambe sawucima kulenye indzawo kumathapha sikhanze ukuthi besingake sawucabanga lo mshini lo. Siyadzinga umshini lo ngakhona kubhekisa tibonza. Asengibeke sena sehlulekile kusithi zama umshini wethu ohluleke kujuma umnyango kuze nabe kusha ngekhathi. Sesiyabona ukuthi kudzingeka la sitawukhona khona kuchilida ke. So ke imishini ikhona Mthombeni. Sinayo. Yes kona idinga kuservice ngasonke isikhathi. Yonke into lesebenzako noma ngabe insha bayabhala nabakuthengisela ijuu for iservice nini. So ke imishini yethu ikhona kujema kuyendeka la msakatho nje ngihle ngibekisa ngawo ukuthi bakunika umthetho ukuthi awukhohlele Mthombeni lo silana nje ufuna ungakhohleli but kuyendeka ukuthi uzokhohlela asithuke nathi but siyaboza sophula umthetho lo munye ngabe useyisone kakhulu cha bekunene imishini yethu ingajema ngekusileso sikhashanyana but iyasebenza iphile siva sisithembe emafama enatmisele Mthombeni nawe mbukele ekhaya ukuthi asebenze i-social media lengingakusho bathatha lokhanza ukuthi inkosi yami kufavor lo bhalile social media ingakulimata phinze ngakuphilisa bese ngathemba sicela siveni ngokuthi asibe nako lokusebenzisana makho ufuna ukubuta ka fire sonzela kithi ngikhona ukhona la tonke tindzawo le tikotsi intelive fire ungaya uyobuta sikhona ukukunika le information lengiyo longakhona ukuthi uyikhiphe otherwise ticishamlilo tikhona willing to work ever willing to work because simele lokho sive siyafisa lokuthi sisebenzele ngaso sonke isikhathi
lokunguvu ukhuluma nje nkosi vele kuyaveta lokuthi vele niyazama lokusebenta ngalokho lokudikhandlana ngemfufu lomkhulu ngabe vele ngikhulumisana nahulumende ngisebenzisana nahulumende nikubukile ukuthi vele nabise lisotolweni countrywide nalama fire stations abekhona countrywide ngoba labanye bayakhala lokuthi ngiyaphoda kufika tindzaweni letikashane ngabe nikubukile ndoko vele
part of le fire day ito kwati sitokhulumisa tonke letinto leto ngicabanga ukuthi ngilokutawuvela ngoba emathuba ukuthi la kuhlangane khona nakudliwa inyama noma nakudliwa inhloko esangweni lokuba mcwa kubi ngilenhloko lenyama but kuba ngilofika ukuthola nawuhleli lapha lijaha liyakhula libe indvodza ikhulu ibe ngibabe ekhaya so nathi nge-fire day staff isithole incwadziswa lokuningi and ke lokumcoka ngilokuthi live lingakavele fire kufuna be visible tonke letigoti silungiselele nesinahulumende ukuthi leti lama sibita ukuthi ngema satellite stations siyadinga lokuthi sitibeke letindzawo lethu la ukhanza sikhona bekude khona ngiyabekisa nje inhlangano iattenda izofika lavumisa lokubita ukuthi nayihamba yalithatha le-hour imoto yakafaya kuyocima kalavumisa so tonke letindzawo lethu hulumende uconcern ngako ngicabanga ukuthi sichubeka siyembili sawusebenta ngikubambisana naye kakhulu and uyasiyasebenzisana siyambonga ngoba lokunye kuleti gigaba letendekile nje ukhonile kuvela wa-advisor and solo ukuthi satithola tinto tekstasive.
Okay. Kwegcina nje sesibuyela kulo msebenzi wa Friday Nkosi ngabe sive kubheke ukuthi sibe sesikhona ngabansikhathi umsebenzi ukuphi yini nje futhi lebhekekile kibo ngendlela ekumele batiphathe ngayo ngoba umsebenzi utabe uGrace ngemakhosi.
Ngiphinze ngicizele mbukele ekhaya 9 ekseni umsebenzi wabo sokucala but wena fika before 9. Utawuhlaliswa phasi unikwe le utabe kudlala ngaso sikhathi sitabe siku-entertainer simele ukuthi abantu abadzala bafike sikhathi simcoka kakhulu ukhumbule ukuthi vele kulibanganyana kusuka endzaweni la ubekwa khona imotolo nalo sibancenga nje betransport ukuthi manje basibambise sive bababeke nje likhalweni la sekutabathutane kufika khona khona airport kodwa ke sitawucela kuhambisa inhlonipho ungakhanise ufuna kwehluka wedwa sonke lapha siyawuhlonipha abantu abadzala maphoyisa tabakhona bonke lesisebenza nabantu abakhona kuciza nekubuka ukuthi umsebenzi uhamba kahle ethomeni.
No, ngiyavakala sibonga kakhulu Nkosi isikhathi sakho sisama ukuthi sive sitaw diphatha kahle kulo msebenzi lomcuka nalomkhulu nakangaka. Mbukele lesikhathanyana sakudlalela iclip by Martha Ama Ayeka Phoebe who's the Assistant Secretary General for Africa, Department of Political and Peace Building Affairs.
Madam President, distinguished members of the Security Council, the unanimous adoption of Security Council Resolution 2719 marked a major milestone in the partnership between the African Union and the United Nations. It built on the enduring relationship between the two organizations, taking into account their respective strengths and comparative advantages. With this resolution, the Security Council responded to long-standing calls, including by the Secretary General, to support African Union-led peace support operations, including peace enforcement and counter-terrorism operations, with mandates from the Council and through United Nations assessed contributions on a case-by-case basis. Since the adoption of Security Council Resolution 2719, the United Nations Secretariat has intensified its collaboration with the African Union Commission. And as a result, significant progress has already been achieved towards the operationalization of the resolution. We worked to develop a common understanding of this resolution and its implications for both the African Union and the United Nations. The focus of our collective work was on achieving greater institutional and operational readiness to ensure its effective implementation. In this regard, we established a joint African Union-United Nations task force comprising representatives from all relevant entities within both the Secretariat and the Commission to shepherd the process. Meetings were held at senior and technical levels. The Joint African Union-United Nations Task Force met at the technical level twice, first in Addis Ababa from 23rd to 24th May 2024, and then in New York from 29th to 31st July 2024. The Joint Task Force has also held a series of virtual consultations. During these consultations, the Joint African Union-United Nations team discussed 4 key areas. First, joint planning, decision-making, and reporting. A shared understanding has emerged within the Secretariat and the Commission of the need for close working relations between the African Union Peace and Security Council and the United Nations Security Council. Such collaboration is crucial to ensure smooth joint planning and rapid deployment of AU-led peace operations under Resolution 2719. We are also developing joint planning processes, building on our shared experience and taking into account existing collaboration platforms between our 2 organizations. In this regard, we look forward to the outcome of the joint consultation between the two councils later this month, when Resolution 2719 will be discussed. Second, mission support. There was a recognition that the operational sustainment of African Union-led peace operations requires enhanced collaboration in operational support. It also requires a review of operational frameworks and modalities to ensure these are fit for purpose to meet the demands of rapid deployment. Thirdly, financing and budgeting. Financial considerations and arrangements need to feature prominently throughout the planning and implementation phases, from startup to mission closure, and to be compliant and consistent with Resolution 2719. The fourth area, human rights compliance, conduct and discipline and protection of civilians. Compliance with international human rights and humanitarian law and applicable standards of conduct and discipline, as well as prioritization of protection of civilians, are requirements laid out by the Security Council for any African Union-led operations accessing United Nations assessed contributions.
Meet Tando. She's taking control of her health with the PrEP ring. The PrEP ring is a small, flexible silicone ring that you insert into your private parts once a month. It releases medication that helps prevent HIV. It's discreet, convenient, and fits seamlessly into your life. With the PrEP ring, you can reduce your risk of HIV infection and focus on what matters most. Empower yourself with the PrEP ring, your monthly shield against HIV. Worried about side effects? Most people on PrEP experience minimal side effects. Choose the PrEP ring to prevent HIV.
Watching General Conference has brought many blessings in my life. I feel the love of Christ surrounding me. It fills my heart with peace. I always leave feeling inspired. I feel incredibly blessed. Join us for General Conference. Listen to the uplifting messages, be inspired, and get direction for your life and feel the sense of community that awaits you. Tune in this Sunday at 4:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV.
Very happy customer.
I know.
Imali yebhizinisi ayidliwa wayidla utolala phansi.
Hayi ngimsebenzi yethu lesendako la ekhaya njengoba niyibona limihle nakangaka.
Ngiyakolosha, which is crocheting.
Ngiyakhicita ke noko kakhulu emsebenzini wethu ikhumba.
Ngenda kwegaba emacici nokwegaba entsanyeni.
Ngilungisa emagedlela. Hello, how are you? We are selling peanuts at 5. Thank you so much. Umdala kubusi. Find the strat, babe.
Ujala masoda mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho
sivile sive sithi khulume.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Welcome back. This is the news at 7. Thank you for staying with us. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, will represent His Majesty King Mswati III during the second session of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement in Rwanda. The Prime Minister jetted off to Rwanda through the King Mswati III International Airport on Tuesday morning.
Sibika luhambo lesithathako loluya event yase-Rwanda lapho khona kunemhlangano baholi bemave nebaholi bayahulumende bayokhulumisa indzaba tekutsengiselana e-Africa yonke jikelele lokusho ukuthi African Common Free Trade Area umhlangano ongalokho sineke siyamela ingonyama khona njengomholi welive sihamba nje malanga lamabili kuphela sizabe sesibuyele ekhaya.
The business meeting will foster collaborations and innovation among entrepreneurs, driving economic growth and addressing pressing challenges in a rapidly evolving marketplace in Africa. The forum aims to empower entrepreneurs on the continent by providing access to resources, networking opportunities, and mentorship to enhance business growth. Intra-Africa trade has remained low at around 15% of total Africa trade, despite the potential of the Africa Free Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to harness the continent's market of 1.3 billion people and a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am LinkedIn Gode, KM3.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Tinkhundla, Nonhlanhla Dlamini, says the bill to operationalize Chapter 23 of the Constitution will help close the gap in decentralizing services. Dlamini was speaking during the consultations with legislators of the Ministry of Housing and the Ministry of Tinkhundla's portfolio committees on the draft bill to operationalize Chapter 23 of the Constitution.
In the recent Sibaya, concerns regarding service delivery were prominently raised by Maswati. In light of these discussions, the Cabinet has approved the formation of a committee tasked with operationalizing Chapter 23 of the Constitution, which is aimed at enhancing local governance and development. The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Tinkhundla, Nonhlanhla Dlamini, says Chapter 23 of the Constitution focuses on decentralization and the empowerment of local communities.
Hulumende ngekubona sidingeko sekuthi asale enda chapter 13 we constitution ukuthi asale asebenteka ukhethe isigejana sematiko lamane ukuthi asebente lo umthetho lesisi we local government lo mthetho ke namuhla so draft stage litiko lamatiko lamane ke sekagcale lo msebenzi we ku consulta nalabaphathekako kulo mthetho.
She says that the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, alongside the Ministry of Tinkhundla, has been actively involved in drafting a bill that will bring this chapter into practical effect. Dlamini says this initiative is seen as a crucial step in addressing the pressing needs of communities and ensuring effective service delivery. Dlamini stated that this constitutional framework will enable Maswati to take charge of their development at the Tinkhundla level. Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Manzini.
The Eswatini Environment Authority is hosting a training workshop for SADC laboratory technicians to capacitate them with skills to measure unintended produced organic pollutants which are harmful to human beings. The training workshop is being held at the Kwaluseni campus of the University of Eswatini.
The training workshop for the laboratory technicians is part of programs supported by the United Nations Industrial Development Organization and is aimed at capacitating the SADC countries who are signatory to the Stockholm Convention with skills in measuring the intensity of unintended produced organic pollutants in their respective countries. The Environment Inspector for Waste Management at the Eswatini Environment Authority, Ndumiso Makakula, explains.
As per the census from 2017, about 83% of households in the country rely on the open burning of their waste. So this contributes to the production of UPOPs, and these UPOPs are also coming from our use of incinerators. So what is happening now is that the country has been funded to have a GCMS for the measurement of UPOPs in the country. So also the country has been, the chemistry lab of the University of Eswatini has been identified as a training hub for the SADC participating countries. The worst thing is that this type of pollutants bioaccumulate in the human body, in the fatty tissues of your body, and even the food chain can also be exposed to this thing, and you can also eat it up when you are eating your normal food. It is proven that the bioaccumulation of UPOPs and POPs in general in one's body can be carcinogenic.
Participating countries in this phase of training are Botswana, Tanzania, and Eswatini. Other projects supported under the United Nations Industrial Development Organization are the construction of buyback centers closer to residential areas to help communities recycle and sell products for self-sustenance. Reporting, Mbongwa Dube, Smuvashongwe, Matapa.
Real estate agents are not regulated in the country. As the Ministry of Housing prepares to table the Real Estate Agents Bill in Parliament, over 600,000 Malangeni has been lost through fraudulent activities in the last 8 months in this industry as people are being conned. The chairperson of the Eswatini Realtors Association, Musa Nhlego, has some advice on what those seeking to buy property can do to avoid being scammed.
Telephonic conversation, Senior Superintendent Nicholas Jelle says the exact amount lost in fraudulent real estate activities in the last 8 months is 695,340 emalangeni. Chairperson of the Eswatini Realtors Association, Musa Nhlego, says having the Real Estate Agents Bill passed into law will help curb fraud in this sector.
Some conveyancers are also selling property. Because the law will easily identify who is supposed to be an estate agent and who is not supposed to. And then the issue of valuers. We have valuers who are valuating this site. On the other hand, they are also selling property. So there is a lot of conflict that is going on there. We've got bankers who if a client comes carrying a deed of sale from company A, when they get to the bank, you'll find that the banker will say, you know what, I know another property of the same price. Please go, because they are expecting something maybe from that estate agents.
He has also given tips to avoid being defrauded in the real estate industry.
We can caution potential sellers and buyers is always check with the banks, people they normally work with, check with conveyancers, people that they normally work with, and then also check with the association to see if that person is legit, so that we make sure some of these things do not happen.
In a telephonic interview, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Simon Zwane, says they are currently incorporating the input of their stakeholders into the bill. He said they will then present it in Cabinet and then later take it to Parliament. He emphasized that they are giving the bill all attention to stop the fraud in this industry. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Inkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
Local business people from various sectors will have the opportunity to be trained on trading with Taiwan through digital platforms. This was said by Sihle Nkabinze, who is the Trade Promotion Manager at Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, during the Business Digitalization Workshop held at the Hilton Garden in Babane, where business people and associations convened to make inputs to a new platforms to be used when trading with Taiwan.
We're trying to resuscitate our buyeswatini.com platform and push it to be a Buy Eswatini 2.0 platform, whereby we are now integrating aspects of logistics and also aspects of payments. We are anticipating this project to run from today until sometime mid-2025, where we will present it and launch it to the public.
The Director of Small, Micro and Medium Enterprises in the Ministry of Commerce, Meluleki Dlamini, says the digitalization exercise will help the country in increasing its trade activity with Taiwan.
Sisebenta nale nkampani lesuka eTaiwan itawube icedzile kule platform nakuphela November sitawubona ke lapho sebatawucala ke kuphindze futhi kube sekuphindze kuba naleminye imihlangano letawubuka lokuthi sebente kanganani kule platform lokhu kuba preparationa ukuthi in future nasingahlangana naletinye tingcinamba tekuthi abasakhoni kuhamba bangakhona sema products abachubeka atsengiseke.
According to the Eswatini-Taiwan trade agreement, there are about 200 listed commodities that Eswatini could trade in with Taiwan, including handcraft. Reporting, Mbangwadube Mbabane.
14 caregivers have graduated after completing specialized autism training in Eswatini. The Director of Autism Eswatini, Trifina Mvubu, says these graduates are now equipped to identify and provide counseling support for autistic children. The graduation ceremony was held in Manzini.
Autism is a pressing issue with 1 in 6 children affected by the condition. The 2-year training efforts have led to the graduation of 16 caregivers that have been equipped with the skills needed to support autistic children and their families. The Director of Autism Eswatini, Trifina Mvubu, says the autistic children are often affected by additional disabilities, complicating their care and support.
Ekuthenini bakwadi kusebenta nema-therapist nanemindeni yabantwana labane-autism. So bona nje baceceshwa kulama-perspective abo-occupational therapy, abaceceshwa ku-perspective ya-physiotherapy, baceceshwa naku-perspective yaka-speech and language. Bendlula base babuka nje i-abnormal psychology iphelele kuze bakwadi ukuthi lama-disorders babasita njani bantwana.
Vubu says the graduates, some of them have teaching backgrounds, are now trained to identify autism and provide essential counseling services. Vubu says the importance of this training will address the needs of both children and parents in the community. Gugu Mkhabela, representing the graduates, expressed their commitment to helping parents accept their children's autism.
Encouraged kakhulu. We are tasked ngibamvu labakhubatekile because akusiko ukuthi labane autism kuphela but nabo bonke labakhubatekile nje in the country.
She says that acceptance is a crucial step in ensuring that autistic children receive the support they need to thrive. Mkhabela says with more trained professionals entering the field, there is more optimism that families will receive the support and guidance they need. Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Manzini.
In international news, the ongoing storm surge in the U.S. became a focal point of the presidential race on Tuesday as Donald Trump spread debunked falsehoods, including that the White House had reallocated funding for FEMA to aid migrants coming into the U.S.
Donald Trump isn't just ramping up his presidential campaign. He's also amplifying a series of falsehoods and misinformation about the government's hurricane response. In both Michigan and North Carolina, he incorrectly accused the White House of stealing $1 billion from the Federal Emergency Management Agency to house undocumented immigrants.
Some of them are murderers, some of them are drug dealers. 13,099 murderers came into our country during their 3.5, and we're missing $1 billion they gave them to the migrants that came in.
Though FEMA has a different budget for shelter and support services for immigrants, its funding for disaster relief is ring-fenced. And the agency's director has squashed the lie, saying FEMA has what it needs. The last time U.S. disaster relief funds were reallocated for immigration purposes was in fact in 2019 under Trump himself. to bolster migrant programs at the southern border. Later, Trump suggested victims who lost their homes would only receive $750 in federal aid.
They send hundreds of billions of dollars to foreign nations, and you know what they're giving our people? $750.
But the $750 is designed for immediate relief for essential supplies. It's only part of a larger aid package to those devastated by the storm. The maximum amount of home repair assistance available to survivors is $42,500. His latest false claim accuses Vice President Harris of driving her campaign efforts whilst neglecting helicopters and rescue in North Carolina, though this was quickly debunked by the state's Department of Public Safety, which says operations are ongoing with over 1,600 personnel involved. Harris, for her part, has slammed her opponent as incredibly irresponsible for spreading falsehoods about the federal response, as just weeks remain till Election Day.
A group of disabled Kenyan women make a living by sewing reusable sanitary pads. The money they earn by selling this environmentally friendly product means they don't have to go to the streets of Mombasa to beg.
These women are focused on the task at hand, sewing reusable sanitary pads. An idea that they came up with, all united by a common link. They're all disabled and facing daily discrimination. Some women have been struggling to make ends meet.
We started as a group of 10 women with disabilities, where we were actually looking at how we can empower ourselves economically so that we cannot go to beg on the streets.
And their product is in demand, given that the cost of disposable pads is too high for some women in Tanzania.
It is cost effective because when you use it, you use it and you use it again. You don't buy another pad, and it's used for 3 years, then you can even buy another one for after 3 years. But the other pad, you don't you buy it every month, and so it is very much expensive. It is also environmental friendly because the other pad, it is just thrown away. People just throw it away. It spoils our environment, it spoils our soil.
While the pads are made by hand, Charity Jahasi says that they're able to produce up to 3,000 of them per week. And the success has meant that the foundation now employs over 20 members of staff.
More than 17 million Mozambicans are called on to vote for a new president today, with incumbent Filipe Nyusi, 65-year-old, prevented by the constitution from seeking a third term. Nyusi's Frelimo party has held power since independence from Portugal in 1975, and its candidate Daniel Chapo is widely expected to become the new president. Here are the main contenders.
A year ago, barely anyone in Mozambique knew his name. But 47-year-old Daniel Chapo is now the favorite to succeed the outgoing Filipe Nyusi at the head of the country. The political newcomer held his final campaign rally on Sunday and urged voters to keep putting their trust in the ruling Frelimo party.
On the 9th of October, we are going to choose the person who will lead us for the next 5 years.
Hoping to challenge Frelimo's 50-year grip on power, Osufo Momade and his Renamo party were in the running again after a failed presidential bid in 2019. The opposition leader has been a vocal critic of the ruling party, which he repeatedly accused of tampering with elections.
Renamo doesn't accept this electoral manipulation, which represents a hard blow for democracy.
Another candidate who's frequently questioned the integrity of the electoral process, Venancio Mondlane, is seen as a dark horse with an outside chance at the presidency. The charismatic 50-year-old has known a rapid political ascension since quitting Renamo in June, his fiery speeches inspiring young voters eager for change. Whoever wins Wednesday's election will have their work cut out as they take charge of one of the world's poorest countries. High on their priorities list will be tackling rampant insecurity and a jihadist insurgency that's forced major oil and gas projects to stall since 2021.
When Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for an interview with podcaster Alex Cooper, the conversation didn't start by parsing policy positions. The goal, Cooper told the Democratic nominee, was to get to know you as a person.
What can the U.S. do?
After being accused of dodging interviews with news media, Kamala Harris faced a tough line of questioning on CBS's 60 Minutes program. The U.S. Vice President appeared to skirt a question over whether Washington had a strong ally in Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Do we have a real close ally in Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think, with all due respect, the better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes.
Harris also defended her economic plan, which some analysts say could add an estimated $3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade.
But pardon me, Madam Vice President, the question was, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, one of the things is I'm going to make sure that the richest among us who can afford it pay their fair share in taxes.
The interview is part of a media blitz as Harris tries to reach as many Americans as possible just 4 weeks away from the presidential election. On Sunday, the Democratic nominee was featured on the popular Call Her Daddy podcast, and on Tuesday will speak on radio, the ABC's The View program, and will tape a show with late-night comedian Stephen Colbert. Harris had largely avoided interviews until now, and the sudden shift could be interpreted as acknowledgement she needs to do more to edge out Donald Trump. Despite her lead in national polls, the race remains extremely close in 7 swing states.
The U.S. Supreme Court appears to be playing an oversized role in this presidential election. Polls show that 3 in 4 voters say the future president's ability to nominate justices is an important consideration when they go to the polls.
You have to go way back to the year 2000 when the Supreme Court stepped in to stop the recounting of votes in Florida, effectively handing the presidency to George W. Bush over his opponent Al Gore, to find a time when the court played such a big part in presidential politics. The present court has a 6-3 conservative majority. With 3 justices nominated by Donald Trump, the court has issued a series of rulings that have reshaped the country.
It is not a secret that President Trump picked a third of the current Supreme Court, and that has made a big difference, and it has really angered progressives and Democrats.
But it's not just Democrats who disapprove. Opinion polls show the court is overwhelmingly out of step with the American public in general. Its approval rating at a near historic low, with just 43% of Americans in support of the job it's doing. That distaste for the court extends to some of its key rulings, including the decision in 2022 overturning Roe v. Wade and a federal right to an abortion, a ruling a vast majority of Americans disapprove of. Since that decision, abortion has become illegal or restricted in more than 20 states. More recently, in Trump versus the United States, the court ruled that the president has wide-ranging immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts, which could even include executing your political enemies. Dissenting Justice Sonia Sotomayor said the decision was a mockery and transformed a president into a king above the law.
Always act appropriately.
At least 2 of the justices have been under scrutiny for their behavior, and none more than Clarence Thomas. He refused to recuse himself from the immunity case involving former President Trump, in spite of repeated efforts by his wife to lobby officials to overturn the results of the 2020 election, which Trump lost to Joe Biden. Thomas also accepted millions of dollars in gifts over 2 decades on the bench, most of which he didn't initially report until media reports surfaced. Justice Samuel Alito has faced criticism after photos surfaced of an upside-down American flag flying outside his home, a symbol associated with Trump's Stop the Steal movement, and a second flag associated with January 6th outside his vacation home. Late last year, the court announced it would subject itself to a new code of ethics, but the rules are non-binding, a sign the justices are intent on policing themselves.
The streets of Treasure Island, Florida, were empty on Tuesday as the city braced for the arrival of Hurricane Milton, weeks after being hit by Hurricane Helene. India and the Maldives have reset ties that plummeted as Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu leaned towards China after taking office a year ago. Muizzu's outreach to India during a visit to New Delhi comes amid an economic downturn in his tiny country.
This friendly handshake in New Delhi comes nearly a year after Maldives President Mohamed Muizzu pledged to reduce India's influence in the archipelago. Now, Maldives is looking to reset ties.
India is a key partner in the socio-economic and infrastructure development of the Maldives and has stood by the Maldives during our times of need.
Muizzu's tiny country is facing an economic downturn and the looming possibility of debt distress as foreign exchange reserves dip. India agreed to a financial support package that includes a $400 million currency swap agreement. New Delhi will also build a new port in Maldives and begin talks on a free trade agreement.
To give a strategic direction to our bilateral ties, we have adopted a comprehensive economic and maritime security partnership vision.
Muizzu's visit signals a turnaround in ties with India that plummeted after he took a pro-China stance.
Once President Muizzu would have realized that, look, things are not going to work out by antagonizing India, and in particular the support that he might need from a country, from a growing economic power like India in the vicinity. I think the calculus would have shifted. That's why we have gradually seen some of these anti-India voices being marginalized in the Muizzu administration.
Earlier this year, Muizzu asked about 80 Indian troops to leave the country. His administration signed a military assistance agreement with Beijing, raising fears in India about China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean. In New Delhi, he addressed those concerns.
President Muizzu has said that he will not do anything which can undermine the security of India. And that is quite reassuring from a person who asked the Indian military personnel to leave Maldives.
Resetting ties with Maldives will help India at a time when it faces a challenge with neighbors such as Bangladesh, where former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, India's close ally, was ousted in August after student-led protests.
It would give India an opportunity to again underscore its own heft in the region. By saying that, look, we are willing to help at a time of crisis, but also because I think it is in India's interest to see that Maldives' economy does not really falter.
Stability in the region is important at a time of global turbulence.
It is a very good development for South Asia at a very critical time when the two wars are ravaging on, one in Europe, another one in West Asia, creating a lot of energy problem, leading to global economic problems and inflation.
Although small, Maldives is a strategically important country that sits along vital trade routes in the Indian Ocean. Anjana Pasricha, VOA News, New Delhi.
In our sports news, Sihlangu Semnikati head coach Juvako Ligurish has expressed the confidence he has in his boys ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers double fixture against Mozambique this coming Friday in Mozambique and next week Monday in Bombela Stadium in the Republic of South Africa.
We started with 23 players, 2 goalkeepers, 21 players. Then we have some problem to, Tomo get injured, and then we called Gaka up there. And what's happened? I think we had good atmosphere. Only the main problem is, I think players are overloaded with the games and with the trainings. That's the key thing what is maybe affecting us, because they had game 30, they had game 4, they had game again, they had friendly game with me. Now they have game in on Friday, game on Monday. That means they will have 5 games in 14 days to traveling. It's a bit too much. But anyway, let's try to relax them and then We're going to play against a team which will give us really good competition. They are coming from all around Europe, Portugal, Spain, France, other countries, but we shouldn't be scared of. No one lets us to see can we produce good results. After last time they didn't call Lindo. Lindo is now with us because we need his experience, especially experience on the back, because last two games we played a bit more unexperienced players, and we need his knowledge and experience from outside to help us to stabilize us on the back. Now let us to see, we brought extra some players which we didn't call last time. Most of them are small boys, not small boys, small body, and they're very good ball players. And we think we can get some results from that.
It's 29 minutes before 8 o'clock. We've come to the end of our English bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. We'll go for an ad break. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome to the ultimate guide to your weekend entertainment. Get ready to groove with us as we bring you the hottest music videos and exclusive interviews with your favorite celebrities. Experience fresh music videos from new releases, underground sensations, and emerging talent. Whether you're hip-hop, amapiano, or afro, we've got something for everyone. And if you've missed out on any of the excitement, don't worry, we've got you covered. Join us for an electrifying journey through the music scene. Relive the magic and get inspired for your next weekend adventure. So tune into This Week at Eswatini for your weekly dose of music, entertainment, and unforgettable experience. Get ready to groove because the weekend starts here.
You can be stuck on you. Come on, it's a simple song. Sing with me. Say, you can be stuck on you.
Hey you! Yes, you. Have you paid your TV license?
Did you know that by paying for your TV license fees, you will be complying with the laws that govern television possession, in particular the Swaziland Television Authority Act of 1983 and its regulations? It is a legal obligation.
Paying for your TV license can have a positive spin-off, as the money collected from TV license fees goes a long way in assisting Eswatini Television Authority procure appealing and relevant content to broadcast on the channel.
So now, these fees also increase purchasing of local content from independent producers, which helps ensure that the arts and film industry in the country is well supported thus far, ensures the creation of jobs for eMaswati. The payment of TV license fees goes a really long way in such endeavors as well as nation building.
A TV license costs 180 emalangeni per year per device, and for other accessories such as a decoder or njinja, it costs 50 emalangeni per device per year.
By paying for your TV license,
you will be doing the right thing.
As the saying goes, education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Great news for the learners. Eswatini TV brings back the home learning with a wide range of subjects for the grade 7s, Form 3s and Form 5s from the safety of their home.
Change in speed and there's no change in wavelength, meaning that the wavelength of the incident wavefronts.
Watch home learning every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on Eswatini TV. Sibuko Semaswati.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sikhulume.
Highlighting rising levels of distress across the country. I mean, it is evident that Eswatini is facing a mental health crisis. And in response, the Ministry of Health is launching a crucial campaign that is aimed at tackling these challenges head-on, coinciding with Mental Health Day on October 10, which is tomorrow. This year's theme prioritizes mental health in the workplace. But we want to dive into the key factors in productivity and overall healthcare. And joining us to unpack this important initiative, Vusi Shabango from the Ministry of Health and Cindy Sobembe, who is also from the Ministry of Health. They are both from the NCDI and Mental Health Program. Non-communicable diseases and injuries and mental health, I believe. But we want to explore the campaign's objectives and how it seeks to address the mental health needs for our communities. A very good morning to the both of you. Perhaps let me start with you, Cindy. What are the primary goals for this initiative? We understand that you will start by having a high-level sort of meeting to discuss the prevailing issues.
Thank you very much, Zuite, and good morning to the viewer out there. We are looking at prioritizing mental health in the workplace in that we want to change the narrative. We are always talking about physical conditions in the workplace, TB, dinage, do your health check. Now we are saying, let us prioritize mental health because there is no mental health. There is no health without mental health. So we need people that will be healthy, mentally healthy at work so that they can be productive. And we are saying, let us all be of one voice and talk about mental health in the workplace.
Yeah. Vus, let me come to you. We talk about the workplace this year, and I suppose it's an overarching theme around the globe. What are some of the most pressing challenges faced by employees when we speak about mental health?
Yeah, the main challenge might be the production. Productivity will be low due to mental health. If people are not mentally healthy, they won't work up to their full capacity they should be. And also there'll be problem of staff turnover, people leaving the company and that place of work, industries leaving up now, turning up, having new people now and then, and that is frustrating the production. Or also people might come like doing this presentism, coming to work when they are not well mentally. Also that will affect the production. Also there will be absenteeism. People are not well, they won't show up for their duties. Also it's affecting productivity. And also even the reputation of that particular company will be brought down somehow. And also even the employee might be affected at the end of it mentally. You see, when you see people coming in, leaving your company, and now and then the production are going down, so you are even affected yourself.
Yeah. I want to talk about the stigma that is often carried by mental health, particularly in the workplace. How does this campaign plan to say, break down these barriers and maybe encourage the workplaces to prioritize mental well-being?
Thank you very much. This is the reason why we are having such a theme this year, to say, let us all start the conversation. Let us all have a conversation around mental health in the workplace. We want everybody to be aware that we need to take care of our mental health. And if there's somebody that now needs extra care in terms of seeking medical help with their mental health, let us support that person and not look at them as if they are different from us, because no one is immune from mental illnesses. No one is immune from challenges that cause mental illness or that end up with mental conditions. So if we all come together and talk about what causes mental illnesses or mental conditions, what can we do about it, and then how can we support each other? Not that it should be one person's condition and their own story and they're afraid to talk about it. So we want everybody to be comfortable in talking about these things and helping each other, especially in terms of preventing, because if we're all together working on preventing from getting these mental conditions, we'll be able to curb them, and then if there is somebody that has a condition, we'll be able to support them.
Vusi, what strategies do you think can be employed to, say, perhaps support mental health in workplaces, and we can confidently say these are, the most effective in supporting this particular issue? And how can employers now play a role, say, in providing this kind of support?
Yeah, actually, they have to create the supportive system, whereby maybe even awareness creation has to be made, so that these people have the information about the mental health, so that they can even easily identify themselves when they have a problem, and also being able to employ some strategies to prevent the mental health problems. That is very much important. But the employees have to give ample time for this. The employers have to give time for these employees to go to seek for medical help somewhere. Because if they are frustrated not getting time to go out for help, they might remain sick there, and then even their production will go down.
Yeah. I want to get back to Cindy, so and perhaps speak on what are some of the biggest obstacles now preventing people in Eswatini in particular from accessing mental health care?
I think it goes back to the stigma, as you said, and then also the awareness. Where do I go? Where do I go? Hence the conversation we're having and the launch and the theme. So it's the awareness that people do not know where to go, where to seek help. So that is why we are there to say the first help is right next to you. Zwide can be of help to me. If Zwide gives me time to talk about what I am feeling, whatever frustrations I am having, it's already helping me mentally, because it said a problem shared is a problem halved. So you're already preventing a mental illness from emanating, because you have somebody that you trust that you can talk to. But if then comes a time where you feel you're too overwhelmed and there's nobody next to you that you trust, that you can talk to, then we advise you to then seek professional help from your nearest clinic or health facility from where you stay, and that's where you can go. People should not be afraid to go to their nearest clinic or health facility. They will definitely be helped. If they cannot be helped at that level, they'll be referred at an appropriate place, because at that facility they will know where to take that person.
Speaking of stigma and access, and I suppose those have been the two important themes on your response right now. Vusi, let me come to you. I want to come into the importance now of partnerships and sort of multi-approach to such an important and prevailing issue in Eswatini. What are some of the partnerships that you have forged with other NGOs or other organizations really to make sure that you confront this issue comprehensively?
Yeah, what has been done, some NGOs have been capacitated on the issues of mental health so that they can help on the other side, like easily create awareness, also help people identify those who are suffering on mental health problems, and also provide that first-hand help right there and refer them as soon as possible. That is what we're doing, because us alone, we can't do it full. We need others to have a hand on it.
Yeah, I do want to understand. I think this is very important, by the way. I'm just looking up some of the statistic here, and we are seeing the rising levels of mental distress in Eswatini. And it's such a critical time right now. It could be economic pressures, it could be a lot of factors. But how does the Ministry of Health then plans to ensure that this campaign reaches those mostly in need? Because we want to go deeper into who is the most affected by these things. I think the evidence here that we cannot even ignore is that it's the people that are economically affected mostly. So how do we plan to reach those people in need, especially in the rural and undeserved areas?
So you rightfully said when we started that what other activities are going to be having. So we will also be having activities in regional areas where we will be reaching even the furthest person that is like far from cities that can access the help. So that is what the ministry is doing. We are trying to reach as far as possible and engage people so that we are able to have the conversation. However, as the statistic is showing, that is the rural people that are not, maybe they are not able to get the access and they're not able to get their care. We are also seeing a trend where even the people that are able to get the care are not going for their care. So that is why we are saying, let's talk about it. What is happening? What is going on? Let's be comfortable with it. Therefore, let's then stand up. If you need some help, get up and get the help which is available.
Vusi, you spoke on something that really caught my attention. That was your first answer. You spoke on productivity and job performance as some of the issues that are significantly impacted in the workplace by mental health or by mental distress. I want to understand, or maybe let me propose and you'll tell me if this is even feasible. Is it possible to integrate mental health support into daily business operations?
Yeah, is it possible? It's possible.
Yeah,
we can do that, because without mental health, nothing you can do. Everything revolves with the mind. So you must mentally stable so that you can carry on with your daily activities. Yeah, that is very much important. If you are not mentally healthy, you might find that even injuries at that workplace, they will go up, just like that.
I've seen certain companies, organizations, they have, what are they called? There's units or offices, or they have even someone employed to sort of take care of such issues, where you can go for comfort or just to vent, and, they'll just walk you through it. Is this perhaps one of the most, I suppose, important developments that we've seen being integrated into, the workplace? That could be, something that can be used daily to boost, obviously, the employees and the overall success of the business.
Yes, most definitely. As you were talking about wellness corners, we call them wellness corners, where we'll also, the organization or your facility or your company will allow you, employers, to elect a wellness person, somebody that you trust, that will be placed in that office, that is going to be helping the organization. So that we wish that people would utilize such wellness corners also for their mental health, not only to report, I think I have flu, I think I have a headache and whatnot. And we wish to also engage wellness officers to say, sometimes that headache is a symptom of possibly a depression, possibly some suicidal ideation, possibly some anxiety, which are mental disorders. Right. So we wish for employers to also work with the wellness people to say this is also what we wish to have, like activities that we have, including retreats. Let's not make retreats be only about Ibrai. Let's also let's also have some activities that are also going to be taking care of our mental health. Have sessions such as debriefing, where we are talking about what we are feeling, what we are going through at a safe space, and have people be comfortable, talk about what they're going through, and then we all come up with solutions in terms of how then can we mitigate what we are going through and how we can move forward as a company, because we spend a lot of time in the workplace and we need to understand each other, and we need to have the place not be toxic but very conducive as we work and navigate and aim for that vrpa. You know.
Let's maybe delve deeper into the solutions that we should get into. Let's propose them. Obviously, I mean, we speak of the stresses, the anxiety, and I'm happy you mentioned that, you know, someone has a headache and perhaps we don't know where that comes from. I have another question. I want to understand the idea behind the headache, because I've heard someone saying that, you know, the end of year fatigue has had a ripple effect and I have a headache now, and from this headache I'm not productive at work because it is prevailing every day. You know, it's very persistent, and so you find people quietly quitting at work. They're not necessarily productive. And I suppose that also, you know, speaks to mental distress, that kind of, you know, end of year fatigue. Speak to me about, you know, how then we propose solutions to such situations.
Yeah, people, I think they have to learn to vent out, not keeping quiet where they are. That is very important. Yet they need someone to talk to, and they need to be listened to. That is very much important.
How forthcoming are, I'm sorry to cut you, how forthcoming are senior managers and workplaces in hearing, because my personal experience, you know, listening to people speak, I have a lot of friends in the labor force who speak about, I'm even scared to speak about my stress levels. I'm even scared to speak about my anxiety. Because it's going to be met with resistance.
Yeah.
Maybe as we raise this awareness and we speak to the employees, I think even more attention need to be, you know, directed towards the employers with regards to them being forthcoming.
Yeah, it has, the employers have to be there, have to direct this honest to them, yes, but still, maybe they may need someone, as my colleague have said, someone whom they trust, whom they can speak to, because not everyone who can go to the employer and talk about his stresses. Maybe even that particular person hasn't come to talk about the stresses. Monitor, look at the performance. Then you can see there's something wrong, because I know how were you performing before. Like a school-going kid, you know, you was performing better last term. Now what is happening? You have to be attracted to that and try to find out what is happening, how can I address it. Same with the employers have to do with the employees.
Absolutely. It's still being treated as an afterthought, this mental health issue. I see you want to chime in.
Also, when you're saying the bosses up there, you know, talking about mental health, remember when we are talking our culture or the black community, it's like invozaikal, or when you're in a higher position, you're not supposed to show like your weakness. So talking comes with some sort of vulnerability. So people are afraid to talk, especially if you're in a particular position, like how are they going to look at me if I'm saying I'm also struggling with whatever? And that is why we are having this theme this year, and that is why we're having this campaign, to also encourage people in high positions to say, you are also a human being. You are also going through a lot. Bozwite are stressing you like nobody's business, and you need to vent somewhere. It is okay to vent. Do you know that if somebody of a high position in your organization were to tell you that they are struggling with mental health, or they have challenges that are really giving them a headache and whatnot, and they are seeking help, mental health somewhere, it can give you the courage to go, oh, So I am not alone and I'm not different, you know. So it encourages. So we would also like people of high positions to be comfortable with talking about mental health challenges and any challenges that they are facing at work, which may lead to mental illness.
Yeah. It's very important. You know, as you speak, I'm thinking about I watch a lot of documentaries around mental health, very passionate about such issues. And it's quite sad, the stigma that you have just spoken to, you know, that is still attaining on the ground, even after so many conversations. As a man, you can't even speak out because they will laugh at you. As a manager, you can't even speak out because they will say that you are incompetent for your job. Then why did you take up the role? You're not supposed to be, you know, a leader if you're going to be crying about petty things, but it's not petty. You know, the link between, and I mentioned this, you know, when I premised the intro, the link between mental health and broader societal issues, unemployment, which is very high in Eswatini right now. We are speaking nearly over 35% overall unemployment, nearly 60 youth unemployment. We're talking poverty, violence, everything that is well documented. How is the Ministry of Health across sectors working to address these root causes of mental illnesses or distress? And how does this campaign in particular fit into the large picture?
Okay. The good thing that you mentioned is we are not working alone as Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
So interministerial activities, interministerial awareness is very, very important, to the extent that in this high level breakfast meeting that we're going to be having, we have different ministries that are invited that are going to be present, including the private sectors. So we want everybody to be involved. It will not be a one-man's show, and the Ministry of Health cannot and will never be able to manage mental health conditions or issues and challenges in the country alone.
Yeah. Obviously, just give me a high-level overview of the high-level meeting that's happening tomorrow and everything that's going to happen after that.
Tomorrow will be there. There will be a set of panelists there. We will be deliberating on the issues of mental health. Also, after that, we'll be having because tomorrow will be commemorating. So after that, we'll be creating awareness, going to different regions, workplace settings, because we want to go where they are, these people. Yes, it's unfortunate that when we talk about employees, they are also there at the rural areas, domestic workers, they are there, but we can't gather them. We'll go to where these people are concentrated to create awareness. But over the media, as we do the awareness creation, we are also getting those who are at domestic places.
Yeah. We'll see. Cindy, so thank you so much for your time. Very, very helpful insights. And I think our viewers will also appreciate everything that is going to be done after the high-level meeting, everything that is going to, you know, happen as undertaking, as rubber hits the ground. And we hope that people will start speaking out and not dwelling on the stigma, because it's cancerous not only to you, but to the people next to you as well. Let's go for a net break. We'll wrap up the show shortly.
Paying your taxes is a noble act and a statutory requirement. However, the processes and procedures required for you to fulfill your tax obligation may become complex and complicated, resulting in a standoff between the parties concerned. Do you need a mediator to resolve your tax issues? The Revenue Appeals Tribunal Eswatini is a government entity established under the Ministry of Finance with the intention to help resolve tax disputes in the country. Join myself, John Perez, on Mbidinganyiganya every Sunday at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. from the 4th of August to the 27th of October 2024. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel at Eswatini TV.
nina bengwazi amahlokohla sesifike emaphethelweni ehlelo lethu lwalomuhla Kusile breakfast show hlelo lwanga lesithathu lungelele emagagula eceleni kwami nashumi nakubili emgadleleni kujuluka banivalelisa bathi nivele usuku loluhle nisale kahle.
Kama lenkosi